A pessimist who transformed to an optimist in his prime. So even if I'm half dead, I'm half alive. Woo! Running Back Nation, what is good? It is your boy DJ Swood, Running Back Philly, no frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Hit the like button for the fact that I'm even talking about last night's game. Give me 500 likes. Subscribe to the channel. Turn your notifications on. Watch the Sixers again tonight with us on PlaybackTV. The amount of people that were in last night's blowout game is awesome. It's fun to be able to hang out with people and still have a good time when we're watching a game that maybe was meaningless or maybe the Sixers just really sucked. But it was fun. Thanks for hanging out. Playback.tv/runitbackphilly. Come back in tonight. All right, let's go. The Sixers lose to the Miami Heat by 97 points. I don't know what the score was. Who cares what the score was? It was an absolute blowout. The more important thing is that there's just a couple things that I don't understand, okay? Not that. We want this. There's just a couple things that I don't understand. So Doc Rivers, after this game, said that he was coaching in fear of injury because the game was meaningless. He didn't want guys to get hurt. Every time Joel Embiid falls to the floor, you know, he was nervous. Then he also says, in the words of Austin Krell, NBA Sixers reporter, NBA reporter, media personnel, Doc Rivers called the game tonight an exercise. Says he wanted guys to get burned for a couple minutes and then get off the floor. A couple minutes. This makes no sense. And you're lying to me. And I don't like being lied to. Joel Embiid played 30 minutes in this game. This game was an absolute blowout. And Joel Embiid and James Harden were still in the game in the fourth quarter. If you went into this game as planned exercise, these guys would have played the first quarter, maybe the half of the second, and they would have sat at halftime and they would have never came back in the second half. Don't lie to me, Doc. That's a lie. That's a lie. But I got a couple questions. If it was exercise and the game didn't matter and you weren't trying to win, why would you play the starters at all? Why would you play them at all? Why wouldn't you just say, hey, Joel has a sore foot, James Harden has a sore whatever, or scheduled rest. We'll take the fine from the NBA. This game is meaningless. We're going to give our guys the night off. If it was exercise, if you went into this game knowing you weren't going to try to win, why would you play the starters at all? Exercise. Exercise. Did you ever hear of a treadmill? Huh? Maybe you want some exercise, take your dog for a walk. I don't know. Do something with your girlfriend or wife. Make them take a yoga class. There's plenty of ways to get exercise without players running up and down an NBA floor with the potential of landing on somebody's foot and doing something bad. It doesn't make sense. Exercise. In an NBA game against a potential first-round Eastern Conference opponent, all the storylines, Jimmy Butler playing back in Philly, everything, exercise. Come on, bro. And to sit up there and say this was exercise is, to me, a level of arrogance that you have not earned in your time so far in Philadelphia. What have you done? What have you done? This is so pompous and so self-righteous, not just on Doc Rivers, but on Doc and as an entire team, to speak for the team and say, oh, this game was exercise. You are not the 2016 Warriors coming off of a championship run and a 73-win season to where the next year you could say, this game is exercise. What have you done? You haven't done anything to put yourself and your team on that pedestal. I got news for you, Doc. You haven't done more than Brett Brown has done. You haven't done more than the coach before you who was here for 6 years. You haven't done anything to come out here in a game and say this was exercise. And I think this mentality and this outlook and this pompous, oh, we're a third seed. We're ready for the playoffs. We don't have to try against the Miami. That attitude is the same attitude this team clearly has when it comes to practice, which is why they look the way they look on the floor in certain situations. That mindset is cancer to a team headed toward the playoffs. It's exactly why this team plays down to competition the whole year, because of that mindset. That's how I feel about that. This team needs somebody that's either going to say, hey, we're not playing tonight, rest the guys, or you play to win. You respect your opponent and you play to win. You come up here and say, this was exercise. I don't get it. Even if it was exercise, do you say it publicly? No, you don't. We played without Tyrese Maxey. Okay. Tyrese has been playing great. Playing without Tyrese obviously gives us one less weapon. And his three-point shot has been one of the best in the NBA again this season. So in situations where Miami goes zone, did we miss Tyrese Maxey's three-point trigger? Yes, we did. But basically everybody looked terrible in this game. Jalen McDaniels is pretty much the only one that looked good. And that's the positive we'll take away from this game. Jalen McDaniels hitting threes. Jalen McDaniels hitting mid-range, turnaround mid-range jumpers. Jalen McDaniels flashing some kind of offensive skill set to go along with his two-way ability, his defensive rebounding ability, his perimeter guarding 1 through 4 ability. He showed something on the offensive end. Now imagine a coach. You know, if you're as negative on this team right now as I am, just look on the bright side. Imagine next year you have a coach who will actually put players like Jalen McDaniels in positions to succeed, for the team to succeed. Imagine a coach who would see Jalen McDaniels playing like this throughout a couple games in the regular season and say, you know what, Tobias Harris, you've been downright dreadful the entire last couple of months of the year. You're looking like it's hard to even play you at this point. Jalen McDaniels in the starting lineup. You're on the bench. It is what it is. You saw Jacque Vaughn do it with Ben Simmons in Brooklyn. Speaking of the Miami Heat, you saw Eric Spoelstra do it with Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson's on a $90 million contract and gets no run because he can't guard anybody in the NBA. My coach is out here putting George Niang on the floor. My coach is out here saying, well, if Tobias Harris is on a $180 million contract, he has to start. He has to start. He has to be stuffed next to PJ Tucker and Joel Embiid. I have to play basically 2 power forwards and a center when I have a wing like Jalen McDaniels on my bench. If they weren't, I'm just saying, if they weren't trying, fine. But I just think if you're not going to try, don't play. Don't make the fans come to the arena expecting to see a performance and then you don't try. Doesn't make sense to me. I think you were trying. And I think what happened was the Miami Heat went zone. The Philadelphia 76ers have struggled with the zone defense for 8 straight years because they don't practice. You can watch it happen. As soon as they go zone, as soon as they start taking away Joel Embiid's ability to get one-on-one situations and get to that little free throw line jumper that he likes and get to that post turnaround that he likes, as soon as they go zone, taking away that option, the Philadelphia 76ers are like a child born out of wedlock. They have no plan B. I should not have said that. They don't have a plan B. They don't know what to do against a zone. They've never known what to do against a zone, and it's because they don't practice. And I can go back to George Niang on JJ Redick's podcast laughing about how easy Doc Rivers practices are. I'm making this video to tell you, don't get duped. Don't get duped by this. Don't get, oh, they weren't trying. It's fine. We're going to be okay. You're going to see that this team is going to look like that against certain matchups in the playoffs. They better hope they don't end up playing Miami in round one. I don't think they would lose to Miami. I think they would win in 6 or 7, but a 7-game first-round series is not what you want to do. And then you're facing the Boston Celtics, and we already know what's going to happen there. The Sixers haven't looked good recently. Let's look at their last couple games. Like really, have they looked good? You tell me in the comments. Have the Sixers actually looked good recently? The last couple games. Let's go. They went on the run in the middle of March. They beat Milwaukee, Indiana, Minnesota, Portland, Washington, Cleveland, Charlotte, Indiana. Lost 1 to Chicago, won 1 to Chicago. They lost to Golden State. They lost to Phoenix. They lost to Denver. Joel didn't play against Denver. Doc didn't try to win the game against Denver. Doc played Dwayne Dedman. Said we have to get him minutes. And then didn't play him again the next game and the next game. They beat Dallas. They beat Toronto. They lost to Milwaukee. They beat Boston without Jaylen Brown, without Robert Williams Jr. on the back of Joel Embiid dropping 52 points and the rest of the team scoring 51 and looking absolutely terrible. And then they come out and get absolutely smacked by the Miami Heat. In the Milwaukee game, you got 29 from Tyrese Maxey, 28 from Joel Embiid, and absolutely nothing from anybody else. So they didn't look good against Milwaukee. The supporting cast didn't look good against Milwaukee. The supporting cast didn't look good against Boston. The supporting cast looked terrible in this Miami game. And you're telling me I'm supposed to feel good headed into the playoffs. I'm supposed to feel good. Atlanta Hawks tonight. Brooklyn Nets on Sunday. And then finally we can get down to business and really see what this team's about to do in the playoffs. Doc Rivers' coaching tenure is very close to the end. I'm out of here. Peace.